Director of the TechEquity Collaborative. Really happy to see all of you here to talk about a new initiative we're picking up in partnership with Silicon Valley Rising. We're going to have a panel conversation in a few minutes, but we're going to start with Noel Fernandez, who is the campaign director for Silicon Valley Rising, just giving a brief overview of what the Responsible Contracting Initiative is, to kind of set the stage for the conversation that we're going to have today. So, Noel, over to you.
Great. All right. Hello.
No? Yes. Great. We'll see you in a minute.
I'm going to stand if that's okay and not be the light. Okay. So, again, I'm Noel Fernandez with Silicon Valley Rising. And first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for being here. Is this going in and out?
Yes.
Yep. Better? Yes? Okay, great. So first of all, I just wanted to say thank you for being here because I am totally sure that you could be somewhere else this evening. And you've made a choice to be in this space, to be in this conversation, and to be present, to learn more and share about this important topic. I think for all of us in Silicon Valley, and really the entire country, because I think what we're about to do is about to develop a new model for the entire country. So I'm very excited to be here and share a little bit about what we mean about responsible contracting. So why don't we go ahead and get started and really just dive into this conversation. Before we actually go here, I did want to just say one thing. Silicon Valley Rising, we've got a few folks in the room who have made Silicon Valley Rising a thing. So 4 years ago, maybe a little bit over 4 years ago, several of us came together with this vision that we believe that we can engage with the tech industry in a new way, and on behalf of and with service workers could develop a new way of accountability, of transparency, and of really working together so the workers that are within the tech industry, that are the service workers, could actually have jobs where they have dignity, where they have livable wages and benefits. And so I want to just notice that we have several leaders that made Silicon Valley Rising possible in the room. We've got the Teamsters that I see right here. Unite here in several spaces. I also see the Affordable Housing Network here. PACT is here. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing a few folks. I'm probably missing a few people at Working Partnership, which is our organization, but that came together with this real vision about 4.5 years ago. And now we can't believe that we're actually to this moment to talk about responsible contracting with you all. So I'm sure all of y'all have seen these headlines and the conversation about diversity in tech and the amount of money and funding and energy, good energy, and really great folks who are putting a lot of their time and energy to figure out how do we make tech more diverse? How do we get people of color to be represented in good jobs? I think this is a question that a lot of people across the country are trying to answer. Next slide. And for us, when we put this campaign and thinking together, what we were really seeing is that we actually have a lot of diversity, but we may not be looking in exactly the most obvious places. So that when we're talking about making good jobs in the tech industry and having diversity and having people of color grow within the industry, there was a whole group of people that was missing in the conversation. And it was those service workers that are predominantly people of color that clean, protect, and serve these companies every single day. So we embarked to do some research to figure out how many people are we talking about? What are the numbers? Let's actually get some numbers to what we're experiencing. And so this data is found, it's a little bit old, it's from 2016, but it looks at the percent of employees who are Black or Hispanic in the tech industry. So you can see yourself, right? There's 10% direct tech employees who are Black or Hispanic. And in blue-collar contract workers, we're looking at over half of the population. Now, we released this report in 2018 called Tech's Invisible Workforce. I don't know if we have copies behind there, but we do great. But we certainly also have it online if folks want to read through. But the report's goal was to name that the tech industry relies on the small army that I mentioned, the people who are service workers, and to really shine a light to the workforce's size, demographics, and compensation. Now, the next slide you've got here in front of you looks at average annual earnings. So what you can look into this, I mean, you can look at this slide and there's lots of questions and answers that we can have about this slide. But ultimately for me, what this means is that if we want to get really real about having people of color have dignified family supporting jobs, then we have to also get very real about making some changes about what these service jobs really look like. And so that's what the track that we've been on and are on with this initiative is to say, we can't just be thinking about what's the minimum. Like, what's the minimum wage shuttle bus driver should be having? Or what's the minimum wage a cafeteria worker? We actually have to be saying, what should this job really look like? Not just wages, but benefits. Not just wages and benefits, but also looking at, do they have a voice on the job? If they get retaliated against, where do they go? If they're a victim of sexual assault or harassment, where do they go? If they're actually not getting the wage that they're promised, where do they go? What is that path that gives workers, not just as individuals, but as a collective, a way to really have a voice on the job? And so as you'll hear later tonight in the actual panel conversation, the issues that workers are facing every single day really extend beyond just wages or just benefits, which are of course very important. But the kind of stories that we interact with every day are stories around sexual assault on the night shift as a janitor. There are stories of women being denied reasonable accommodations for being pregnant. And the story, I mean, we can go on and on about the reality that these contract workers working at these large tech companies are facing every single day. So our kind of theory of change around this is that I think we're all here because we believe we got to do something. Like that we know this is a problem and that we have an opportunity if we all can come together as tech leaders, service workers, community members, tech workers, to actually say, well, how do we fix this? How do we not just think about the minimum for a worker, but how do we develop kind of the gold standard of what a service worker working in tech should receive? And I think the other important piece is that we've also have fantastic tech leaders that are saying, what does it look like? Like, what does it mean when you're saying that's not enough? Let's actually be in conversation and relationship with each other to figure this out. So the invitation today is to say, we're going to figure this out together. And we've got a path forward over the next several months. So, responsible contracting. So there are different elements to how we're thinking about responsible contracting, and we can really put it into 5 different buckets. We can go to the next slide here. So these are the 5 buckets that we will be doing an assessment on over the next several months. I talked a bit about voice on the job already, but essentially we believe that people should have the freedom to speak up at work if they see something is wrong, and not worried you're going to get fired the next day, that you're going to be retaliated against. And people at work should also have the freedom to be able to come together and negotiate for better pay and conditions. And so there are some key indicators we're going to be looking at over the next several months. One key one is, are workers unionized? Yes or no? Does the employer have a policy on labor neutrality and/or harmony for vendors and contractors? Does the contractor have a history of complaints on record with the National Labor Relations Board? All things are indicators for us when we assess, do these workers have a voice on the job? Fair scheduling. So this is one that I actually think it's worth diving into a little bit because I think we sometimes take it for granted. Many workers have no idea what their schedule is going to be next week. So if you're a parent trying to figure out childcare, or you're a student trying to also get through school to get a better job, how do you plan your life? And so fair scheduling is that workers receive reasonable notice of their schedules and workers have guaranteed hours. Because guess what? We all know rent's not going to wait for you to figure it out, right? You've got to pay rent. You've got to know how many hours can I actually count on. And that's a part of the fair scheduling policy piece. And we think it's important because people who are motivated and committed to their jobs should have the opportunity to work. And working parents and caregivers should be able to have enough notice so they can plan their life. A safe and secure workplace. We believe we all deserve to feel safe and secure at our jobs so that we're able to do our very best work. And so that's really why we included this piece in the standard, is we are going to look at indicators of do workers have a healthy and safe environment to work in? Is there a history of occupational health and safety violations? Is there a history of sexual abuse by the contractors, harassment, discrimination, etc.? Then we've got pay and benefits. I think this is the one that we're like, check, a lot of us kind of get. But we believe that we should all be able to put food on the table and make sure our loved ones can see the doctor if they're sick. And that it's important that workers get a fair return on the work that they're putting in for the companies to really thrive in our communities. So the indicators we'll be looking at are looking at livable wages. Is health insurance provided? How expensive is it, right? What we're hearing too is sometimes insurance is provided, but you can't really pay for it. It's so darn expensive, right? Do workers have the same benefits that direct employees have, like paid sick leave, family leave, vacation, retirement savings, those elements. And then lastly, mobility and opportunity. Something we've heard time and time again from the workers we work with every day is a desire to actually be able to grow your leadership and your place at work. And so the indicators are workers have the opportunity to develop with additional training or education, and that contractors actually promote frontline managers from the existing staff. But they're not looking externally first, but they're looking at their teams that they have every single day. So as we embark on this process, those are the areas that we will be looking at, that we'll be working together on. And our hope is that as we think about responsible contracting, that we are thinking about a few different, that we're actually moving on a couple of different areas. One is developing this landscape analysis of workplace conditions over the next several months. Shine a light on strong practices of high road actors, because we do have high road actors that you'll hear from actually in just a second, but that we can actually learn from decisions that industry leaders have made. And now we're about to enter this new process of data collection and trying to gather all these the information from all the indicators that I just mentioned. So we're here tonight to help you learn more about responsible contracting. You'll hear from experts on our panel, and really seeing that there's a role for all of us in this conversation. For tech leaders, tech corporations, for contract firms, they have an important role here, and for directly employed tech workers that may be in the room today thinking about, well, how can I help? What role can I play? Our hope is that through our panel conversation, we can answer some questions around now what, how can I play a role in really making this possible? So I will end there and just say I really appreciate our leaders who are on the panel today that are really leading the work on the ground every single day to make this conversation and this project possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Noel. So that was an introduction to the standard. As Noel mentioned, we're kicking off the project now. And part of that is really uncovering the first part of this is really shining the first light that has ever been shined on the full comprehensive job quality status currently, as it currently stands. We have some information about pay and benefits, and we had some demographic information from the 2016 study. But now we want to paint a richer picture. And I think part of that is actually hearing from the people who are in these roles and kind of giving a face to that invisible workforce. So I'm going to start with Jacky Espinoza, who is an organizer with Unite here and was formerly a food service worker on a tech campus. Jacky, can you talk about your work on a tech campus, what that was like for you, and where you see the importance in having a standard like this?
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Jacky Espinoza. I was a cafeteria worker for 4 years with Airmark at Cisco Systems. I was a barista there. Working there, I was so happy because it was a tech company. I've always had, right, coming out of high school, I started working there as a barista, and one of the biggest struggles for me was not having health insurance throughout those 4 years because I was not able to afford it, right? I was like between, paying the bills or being able to get health insurance for myself, so I chose the bills. And so once we won the union, I was able to afford health insurance and afford to help out my parents paying rent, and etc. So I was absolutely happy we were able to negotiate and bargain a great health insurance section in our contract, and I know my coworkers were very happy as well. And for me, it was so big because not having health insurance for 4 years meant that I was able to go and get myself checked out. I had dental insurance that included all of it, so that's a big part of my life, even currently. So transitioning with Unite here, I came out, I learned a lot, and I think I'm now the representative for cafeteria workers in different cafeterias, including Facebook and Menlo Park. And I know for them, I'm there a lot, right, to talk to the workers, to see how they are. And talking to them, I know they're equal with management because they fought so hard to win a lot of language in their contract. There's a section called the JLM, Joint Labor Management Meeting, where workers are able to talk about, issues that are going on inside that, maybe they're afraid to speak on, but with the contract, with the CBA, they're able to sit down with management and be equal with them and tell them this is what's going on, and they're able to find a resolution, right? So that's a great thing that we were all able to negotiate, with the union, Unite here, or Wilmington. And I know that's one of the small things that is in the contract that are able to help out the cafeteria workers there and able to speak up and not be afraid. Right? That includes health insurance and all these other things, but I know having that equal right amongst management is very important to all of us and to them.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about Facebook and the process that the company went through in a minute to support the unionization of the food service workers and other service workers on Facebook campuses. One thing I think it's important to clarify for folks who don't understand, most of the time, all of the time, the service workers on campus are not employed by the tech companies. They are full-time employees of the vendor. So they work for, in your case, it was Aramark?
At Cisco, it's Aramark, but at Facebook, it's Flagship.
Okay, yeah, so there's another company that you are an employee of, and that company has a vendor-client relationship with the tech company. So the question is really, what is the role of the client, the tech company, in influencing the employer to provide better job status? So I just want to clarify that piece. We also have Maria Trujillo here with us, who's a custodial worker with SEIU, a lot of vowels, USWW. And Maria has done a lot of work with on safety and in particular preventing sexual assault for night shift workers. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about your experience working on tech campuses, but also specifically the work you're doing to prevent sexual assault.
Buenas noches. Mi nombre es María Trujillo. Disculpe, yo tengo aquí 30 años, pero el destino no me dio chance de aprender mucho inglés porque llegué y primero eran mis hijos y luego yo.
My name is Maria Trujillo. I have lived in the U.S. for 30 years, but time has not permitted me to learn English as I was worried about taking care of my children first.
Tengo 20 años, tengo 30 años de ser janitor, pero con Unión tengo 20 años. Tengo 20 años en la industria del janitorio y pues nosotros como industria del janitorio primero soy sobreviviente de acoso sexual.
I've been a janitor for 30 years. I've been with the union for 20, and I am a survivor of sexual assault.
Cuando pasó eso, pues a uno lo afecta psicológicamente bastante, pero después pude ver que recibimos unos entrenamientos. Ahorita tengo 60 horas de entrenamiento acerca de lo del acoso sexual, para llevar a la industria del janitorio de nuestros compañeros entrenamientos para enseñarles a poder entender, poder descubrir cómo es el acoso sexual en los lugares de trabajo, cómo se empieza, cómo se puede erradicar todo eso, porque es una cosa muy dañina en la mayoría de edificios de donde nosotros como janitorio trabajamos.
When someone goes through an experience like that, it changes you and it really affects the way you feel in the workplace. Now I have 60 hours under my belt of training where I have learned to train my coworkers on how sexual assault in the workplace happens, how we can prevent, and how we can just completely eradicate these issues in the workplace.
Nosotros decidimos tomar acción acerca de recibir entrenamiento sobre acoso sexual, debido a que en nuestra industria, como inmigrantes, mujeres migrantes, somos vulnerables. Y también el horario que nosotros tenemos de noche también es peligroso. Nosotros trabajamos casi el 80% de la industria del janitorio, trabajamos de noche. Nosotros siempre estamos en estas horas. Y también algunas compañeras luego salen a tirar la basura al ahorita que se les dice afuera, al parqueadero, a deshora de la noche, y creo que también eso es mucho peligro para nosotros como trabajadoras de noche.
On the night shift, we are exposed to a lot of factors that put us in dangerous positions. A lot of my coworkers work alone, and oftentimes they have to leave the building, go inside on their own to throw away the trash. We are in the 80th percentile of workers that work on the night shift.
Entonces decidimos un grupo grande de tomar acción y empezar a tomar entrenamientos. Estuvimos recibiendo por medio de organizaciones como MOA, Calcasa, estuvimos recibiendo entrenamiento de todas esas organizaciones y nos preparamos nosotros, y también nos ayudó bastante para sanar todo esto que traemos nosotros por dentro, porque el acoso sexual es una cosa que quedan marcas muchas veces para toda la vida.
A large group of us decided to take action, and we have received training from organizations like Panelists and MOA. Sexual assault is something that leaves very deep marks, and this was a way for us to take action and to heal from the effects of it.
Y también decidimos hacerlo para acabar con esa cultura de, ustedes saben que la mayoría del 90% de la industria del janitorio somos latinos, somos inmigrantes, y también nosotros tenemos algunas culturas, son buenas, sí, pero también habemos otras que no son tan buenas, por ejemplo, como en las horas de los breaks, en los pasillos donde estamos, siempre llegan se dice en inglés, ¿no?, cotorreos, y entre ellos hay cosas que no se ven bien. Por ejemplo, son palabras obscenas que para la mayoría de nuestra cultura latina es algo normal, pero ya en este país, viéndolo desde otro punto, no es normal, no está bien, porque eso se llama acoso. Y nosotros como promotoras queremos entrar a los edificios a darles entrenamiento, a darles como ideas de cómo enseñarlos a que aprendan de que esas palabras no se deben de hacer entre compañeros, porque eso hace sentirse a uno incómodo, y también para que ellos aprendan en caso de que haya un acoso, también cómo prevenir eso también, ese tipo de acoso que nosotros tenemos en los edificios, porque ya hemos lidiado, algunas compañeras hace años han tenido problemas muy fuertes con los supervisores de que han sido acosadas sexualmente, y eso queremos tener un ambiente más saludable en nuestra industria, de trabajar en ambientes saludables sin que haya ese tipo de problemas en nuestros edificios.
We also decided to take action because although our culture is lovely, there are also a lot of practices that are normalized. We wanted to end the normalization. In the immigrant community, 90% of the service workforce are immigrants, and we really wanted to end the culture of normalizing certain obscene words or harassment that oftentimes is said as a joke, but it really is completely inappropriate. We also wanted to make sure that women in the workplace were protected, as they oftentimes suffer sexual harassment from supervisors. And we want to create a workplace where we feel safe, and somewhere where we can go to work and feel like we will be all right on the job. We want to make sure that we are taking this conversation from building to building as promotoras. We want to educate not only our community, but also our culture to shift the narrative around sexual harassment.
Voy a hacer un comentario rápido. Yo cuando en mi lugar de trabajo había una persona, un compañero, que siempre hacía tipo comentarios como pasaba una compañera y le decía, oye, qué bonito trasero tienes. Le decía, oye, ¿qué talla usas de tu brasier? Le decía. Entonces yo alcancé a escuchar y yo le dije, eso no se hace. Y lo invité al entrenamiento que tuvimos nosotros, y desde ese momento él llegó al edificio, y creo que eso sirvió bastante, porque él mismo, cuando otros compañeros trataban de cotorrear con las compañeras, en esa forma le decían, no, eso es una cosa.
I just want to add one piece. One of my coworkers caught my attention because he was talking to one of my fellow female workers about her body and about certain, clothing sizes and aspects of her breast and behind. And I called him out on it. I told him this is not something to joke about, and I took some action and invited him to one of our sexual harassment meetings. And from that day, he changed his behavior, and now I see that he calls other male workers on their actions and takes that message out to the workplace.
Entonces ahorita nosotros andamos luchando para que nosotros podamos entrar a los edificios y dar esos entrenamientos a nuestros compañeros. Yo pienso que si luchamos y ganamos para que nos dejen entrar a todos los edificios de la Junta de Territorio, vamos a poder hacer el cambio y vamos a formar lugares de trabajo más saludables.
And so when we're talking about all these issues and these stories that range from, all types of stories, I think fundamentally for folks, what we hear is to be seen and to have dignity on the job. And when we think about kind of the program that SEIU USWW is leading on, it's really about having a program that tech companies can actually sign on to and allow promotoras to go
deliver the trainings that Maria shared.
So you mentioned in your presentation that there are some high road actors that we want to make sure we're recognizing. And I know you were kind of referring to Facebook in that context. So Michael Matthews, who's on the policy team at Facebook, you did a lot of work on the inside to help workers get unionized. And I'm wondering, given that those weren't your employees necessarily, how does that relationship work with the vendor company? And maybe Maria Noel can also weigh in on this. Like, what did that look like when that conversation came up?
You're giving me way too much credit, but I'll take it anyway. Thank you. I'll quote someone who's actually here in the audience, and I usually quote him when he's not here, about the relationship that we think of in terms of employees and workers. This started out, Brother Doug, with the Teamsters on a call several years ago regarding shuttle bus workers that we were having issues with in San Francisco about the program. Our drivers, the contractors, were Teamsters already. And in a call, Doug said, referencing to union members, they're tech workers too. It's exactly right. I mean, you're a tech worker as well. You're a tech worker. In fact, you are both folks who work with union members, union organizations that work with Facebook. And that's an important way for us to think about how it's not just me or engineers or other folks or even Mark or Cheryl. It is the whole aspect of the whole community, is how we look at it. And that sort of informs how our relationship is with our contractors. So thank you for pointing out, we are not the employer, but we have a responsibility and a role in terms of setting the standards of what we expect from our contractors. That does include pay. In fact, recently we raised that last May, raised that standard, recognizing that the level is above $15 per hour minimum and other health benefit requirements and leave requirements that our contractors have with their employees wasn't good enough, and so we raised them. In fact, we've undertaken every 2 years a self-audit of our contract. Our standard is sufficient, recognizing that what was good yesterday may not be good enough tomorrow. That also includes, both as you mentioned, salaries, the leave, healthcare requirements of the contracts that, as a minimum. Now they can do more, and all those things tend to be negotiated with the union and the contractor. Our role as it relates to about unions, we have done a public record of supporting anyone's right to organize, period. Both our leadership has said that on several occasions. And so as a consequence, we have I think a very good working relationship when it comes to other things that are outside of the workforce or workplace, housing issues, things that we're all working on and concerns that impact the economic conditions we're in. We have partners with unions and workers, and that's a very important part of our relationship.
And Noel, you were involved in the Facebook campaign. Can you just say a little bit about how that relationship worked? And then when it goes poorly, I mean, what's the kind of pushback you're hearing from tech companies who don't want to be a good actor?
I mean, I think when it goes poorly, I think it's what most of us see, right? We're in the streets, right? Like, we're in front of the companies, like we're actually saying and getting community and workers in motion saying, this is not okay. And I think that's where, when we think about, activities of solidarity, that's when we see tech workers come out and say, that's not what I'm here for. Like, I don't want to work for a company that doesn't stand for good values. That's not what I want my talent to be used for. And so I think we have seen companies that don't respond to the workers, saying what it is that they need, and that's the moment that we activate as allies, as worker leaders, as community members, as elected officials in that region to say, no, if you want to be a part of our community, we've got to do better and be more in relationship with each other and actually have a conversation about our expectations and what it is that we really can build together, because we can't, we need each other. We got to figure this out, and kind of, I think when things have gone well, I think there's this understanding of we're in it together. Like our futures are inextricably linked. And so how do we do this in a way that absolutely serves the purpose of the company and serves the purpose of the workers who make the company possible?
Yeah, I want to follow up on your point. I want to underscore a real important point you made. A lot of, I can't speak for other companies, but I assume other experiences may be similar, that there are a lot of employees, young people, who are not part of the union, but who respond to that issue very much and push companies and challenge people to say, wait a minute, this is, and I think that's an important part of the effort of TechEquity as well.
Well, one of them is sitting right next to you. We're going to get to Leslie here. And I realized I did not, for those of you who don't know what TechEquity is, we mobilize tech workers and tech companies. Facebook is also one of our partners, to advocate for policy solutions, including good workforce and labor standards that we think will make it so that as the region's tech economy grows, more people can participate in that growth and benefit from it. And so Leslie is the perfect sort of platonic ideal of a TechEquity member. Leslie is an engineering director at Google currently, formerly a whole bunch of tech companies, brand new tech companies that you have heard of, and former CTO of the Obama Foundation. And last year wrote a really compelling Medium piece about this issue from his perspective as a relatively privileged white-collar tech worker in a technical role. So you're in that place where you can say to the company, like, if you want to keep being, you've got to treat these workers better. Can you just talk about, like, how did you come to that perspective? How did this look from your vantage point, and why did you get to the point where you felt like you needed to write something about it?
Thank you for that. I'm really excited about this. And I'm excited because I'm an engineer at Google, yet I don't speak for who I speak because this is important to me. And it's important to me because this is my home. I was born in Silicon Valley. I was raised in Silicon Valley. My father was a USWW member for 26 years. This is what we do. And when I heard this story of not being able to learn English because she's working so hard and trying to raise a family, it resonates with me. And it resonates with me because one day I was in a tech kitchen listening to the people stocking the kitchen with fruits and vegetables and drinks talk about how they were having problems filling out the forms so their children could get free meals at school. It hits you really hard when you hear that. And it also hit me really hard because I started my career out in tech as a security guard at Apple. I started my career as a contractor. I've been at tech companies as a contractor with a different colored badge, being treated differently, being exposed to different benefits and different pay. And when I hear about this, when I see this, it can't but not hit me. And I said this years ago. If you really want to look at a diversity in a tech company, look at the service staff. No one complains that the security of many tech companies is African American. No one complains that the janitorial staff is mostly Latinx. So there's this disconnect, and hearing about companies like Facebook advocating unionizing their employees, their contractors, is just it's something that I want to go back to my organization, which I manage an organization of almost 200 people, and say, how can we do better as a company? How can we make sure that people have upward mobility? I would not be here if I didn't have some upward mobility. And if we're not giving other people that opportunity, if we're not creating those spaces, then a lot of this wealth is just wasted on the people who've already had it.
So from your, like, what does that look like when you go back to your office, whether it's Google or any of the other tech companies that you worked at, from just the perspective of one worker? Are there ways that channels that you see internally that folks like you and your coworkers can say to the company, I think we need to do something differently? Like, what kind of supports do you need to feel like you're empowered to do that?
Information, data is great. This entire initiative will, I can take this to my leadership and put it in front and say, these are the things that are important. These are the things that we should be tracking. We should be working with organizations like this. Most of you have heard that Google employs an inordinate number of temps, vendors, and contractors. So this is something that is definitely in not just top of mind, they're top of mind in Silicon Valley. And just go back and say, this is the right thing to do. And one of the things that I've realized in TechEquity is that we are maligned, but many people, if not most people, want to do the right thing. They want to make sure that we're good actors and our collaborators in the community. It's just, sometimes they just don't know how. And this is a great way to start giving people the roadmap. And it's a solution, and as an engineer, I'm all about solutions.
That's great. Jacky, you're a tech worker that was playing a certain role. I'm wondering what you can say about what your relationship was like with the full-time employees.
Honestly, it was good. I got to know a lot of tech workers as a barista, and honestly, like memorizing their drinks was like one of my important things to do, because I would see them in the line and I was like, oh, here's your coffee. You don't have to wait. Just badge in and then you can go. And they were like, oh my God, thank you. And like to me, I was like, it made my day, right? Getting to know, your baristas, getting to know your cafeteria workers is really important, because a simple hello, how are you, or thank you for making my favorite drink, or and not having to wait in line is a simple way to say like, okay, thank you. Like, I appreciate your work and I see you, right? I see you, and to us it's very important. To us it's very important to be acknowledged, right? And I know I speak with to a lot of cafeteria workers who are in a similar place. Just a simple hello, how are you, thank you, goes a long way. I still remember the folks that, I made the drinks for, and I will always appreciate the way that they spoke to me. So I thank them for that.
I think that's a really good reminder for all of us here who are tech workers. Leslie, you said something that I think is really interesting about your pathway. And one of the pieces of the standard is about professional development opportunities and career pathway opportunities. What I wrote about mobility and opportunity. And Noel, you refer to it sort of as moving inside the company, the vendor company. I'm interested in how we might see pathways like Leslie's from a contracted security officer to an engineering director at Google. Leslie, can you talk about what that pathway was like for you? And then I'm interested to hear from others how might we institutionalize something like that.
Seeing people, you have to be seen. Somebody saw me. The story goes, I loved the graveyard shift, and I would meander around Apple at 2 a.m. and I'd see what we affectionately call neckbeards programming at 2 a.m. And I let them know that I could do that. And instead of seeing me in this polyester security guard outfit and telling me to go away, they saw me and they included me. And they talked with me. And I do think saying hello, and I do think learning names and having conversation. And I think that goes a long way, because it opens up other conversations. It opens up other opportunities for people to say, what's your family situation? How can I help you? Do we live in the same community? This is how it started with me, is someone saw me as a person, not as a contractor, not as a hired help. They saw me as a person. And I think that is one of the biggest things that can happen. And I think that companies also have a responsibility to open up those opportunities as well, to work with the vendors, the agencies they work with, and say, what development opportunities do you have, and how can we partner with you? I have an apprenticeship program in my organization, and one of the concepts of that was, how do we get people who are here doing other things in the service industry and let them know about this, and let them know that there are other pathways in the tech that don't take you through a university.
And Michael, you wanted to get on that too, on what companies
Yeah.
do.
I think you're right. I agree about it being seen, and I sort of flagged because you jumped on it. It's about us as companies looking for people too. I think being proactive. So I agree with you on your comment about that. There's some positions I think are, for all of them, can lend themselves to that mobility. I know the culinary side is particularly, so with us, our company, very strong with that. From people who start one level, move up to being sous chefs and so forth, and develop careers that way. It's
screen cleaning, I think, as well.
So some of them lend themselves
For that.
I think as I'm losing this. There it is. Is that better? Okay.
It's just going in and out.
Yeah. But I do think it's upon all of our, we can do a much better job. So I worked at Slack for a while, and I saw recently that the barista at Slack is now working as an engineer at a different tech company. And Slack gave the space, and everyone knew the barista. She was part of the family. She was part of the company. She was looked upon as a tech worker, and these are the opportunities that I think we have an opportunity to expose people to. And perhaps this is something that we should all be working towards. Like, how do we do that? Because we have, we keep talking about we need diversity in tech.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's right under their nose.
It's right under your nose.
Yeah. Maria, I'm wondering if, I know you worked overnight, so you maybe didn't run into as many tech workers as Jacky did, but can you speak to your experience, if you have any, with your interactions with the full-time tech workers and what your relationship was like with them?
Bueno, en los lugares donde yo trabajé, había mucha diferencia. Había mucha diferencia entre mi trabajo y el de ellos. Ellos eran profesionales, ganaban bien, pero había algo que hacía la diferencia, que era que ellos eran de confianza. Yo tenía un sindicato, que era mucha la diferencia, porque había temporadas, tiempos que después ya no los veía, los despedían también. Y ya no los veía, pues preguntaba, decía, no, pues se fue, lo despidieron, ¿no? Y es mucha la diferencia.
She mentioned that in her experience there was a really big difference between tech workers and subcontracted employees.
She's turning it up.
There was a big difference in tech workers and subcontracted employees. Oftentimes the folks that she would interact with didn't actually have the protection to implement their direct employees, and a lot of times she would see them one day, maybe they'd get let go, or her employment would change, and there wasn't really a substantial relationship
Ya otra cosa, que cuando ahora en el lugar donde trabajo hay mucha tecnología, pero el problema que tenemos es que ellos traen mano de obra extranjera y también es lo mismo porque vienen temporalmente, se van y regresan.
Just talking a little bit about folks that they bring overseas and subcontract them as well, and so there's not really much to do.
Yeah. Sorry? Yeah.
Y también de mi parte bien quiero mandar un mensaje a todas las empresas de tecnología, por favor, que contraten contratistas responsables en la industria del janitorio, porque les dan la oportunidad a muchos janitores de que puedan mandar a sus hijos a la escuela, de que puedan agarrar un trabajo donde puedan graduarse, tener un trabajo seguro por muchos años, tener seguro médico, tener vacaciones, y otra de los programas que se tiene cuando uno tiene unión es que también en nuestra industria ya hay clases de inglés como para muchos hábitos.
I have an ask to make today of tech companies. Please contract responsibly. A lot of the benefits that are not only directly to us, but also to our children. There's a lot of benefit in having a union and being able to also receive workplace development.
También tenemos las compañías responsables, que son las que son de unión, también tienen clases en los lugares de sitio de clases de inglés, junto en un acuerdo con el sindicato, porque desgraciadamente hay muchas personas, por ejemplo como yo, que yo vine de inmigrante para acá, pero no tuve la oportunidad de aprender inglés porque tuve que mantener 4 hijos.
Being a part of the union has also enabled me to take some of the English classes that they've offered. A lot of folks who are in the service sector have also, like myself, not learned English, although they've lived here for a while, because our priority is to care for our children. So having the ability to take English classes from my union has been quite a favor.
Yo antes estuve trabajando 10 años con una compañía sin unión y nunca me dieron las 8 horas por no darme beneficios. Nunca me dieron vacaciones, tenía que pedir permiso para cuando tenía una emergencia. Siempre cuando protestaba que me robaban, porque me robaban, horas que no me pagaban, protestaba y les decía me morían. Entonces, nosotros ahí pude ver el balance, lo que es trabajar con trabajadores responsables como compañías con unión y trabajar con compañías que en realidad no se hacen responsables de los trabajadores, porque no hay quien defienda los derechos de los trabajadores. Otra cosa que me tocó ver también, lo que me tocó ver también es que una compañía una vez se fue y nos dejó sin cheque, desapareció y ya no nos pagó y no podemos pelear a nadie.
I've worked for subcontractors without a union for a little over 10 years, and many things that I noticed were different between responsible contractors and non-union contractors are that without a union, I wasn't protected against my wages being stolen. I wasn't protected, with the hours I received on my schedule because my employer didn't want to pay benefits. And even one time I had a contractor who left and never paid any of our wages, and there wasn't a way for us to have a voice on the job and fight for our pay.
Y yo teniendo necesidad por mis hijos que estaban en la escuela, entonces yo aprendí que trabajar con unas compañías responsables es muy bueno porque asegura uno el futuro de nuestros hijos y el seguro médico familiar también y por muchos otros motivos.
There's a lot of reasons to work with a responsible contractor, but one of them being that I am able to make sure that my family has what they need, including medical benefits, and really pull my family forward.
And in hearing Maria's story and reflecting a minute on what we were talking about upward mobility, I wanted to share something that's going to make me incredibly unpopular, I think. And it's that I think in having this conversation, I think for most people, it's very easy to, in our society, think, yeah, hell yeah, we should definitely get folks who are janitors to become engineers. Like we should work toward that. We should do coding camps and invest in education and do all these things to make that possible. And I absolutely agree. We should do that. But where I'm saying that it might make me unpopular is I think the hard part for all of us to really adopt is this belief that janitorial jobs should be enough, should be good. That cafeteria job should be good. And so I think as we kind of work towards, almost the end of our conversation, my hope is that we leave really with that motivation of, yes, absolutely, how do we get more of, I want my son to have a great job, right? Yes, absolutely. But how do we try to shift what a great job means? So it's not just a select few type of jobs, but that these service jobs are family providing jobs, that they have dignity, that they have mobility, that they have all these things that I think we believe they should have. And that's what I hope y'all are ambassadors for, is for that vision. Yeah, that's a really good point, and I'm glad that you clarified that piece. All right, I want to give you all a chance to ask some questions. Who's got one? I'm going to run around and do like a Phil Donahue with this thing. It should be fun. Over here?